Alrighty, so pretty dead week, okay, other than a Jackson getting potentially arrested. I don't think his arrest has been confirmed, but other than probably the latest stoppage in MMA history, okay, we are headed into a pretty dead week, okay, so I'm going to cover some news, some fight announcements, my thoughts and opinions, and the first thing I want to get into today is our king, Bryan Battle, was officially released. Now, this did happen a little over a week ago, so I am definitely late to the party here. Due to a weight miss, up a weight class of 4 pounds, and they cut him because his opponent decided not to fight him, okay? And listen, okay, if I was in there with Bryan Battle, I'd be fucking scared too, okay? This guy's a marauder, alright? But, no, okay, so if you're a little newer to the channel and you're wondering why I'm blazing Bryan Battle, okay, you know, I kind of relate with the former fat kid, alright? You know, he was an inspiration, you know, still is, okay? Hey, he's so young, 30 years old, okay, unless he goes the Dylan Dennis route, alright? He's got potential. Alright, you know, he is, you know, a little bit of a BJJ nerd, but damn did he have some good hands against Angelusa, okay? And his clinch game was legendary against Randy Brown, okay? So, Bryan Battle, you know, the Butcher, formerly known as the Pooh Bear, only ball players know that, okay? But, yeah, Bryan Battle was released, and he was on a really big run, man, at welterweight, too. He went down, former heavyweight, by the way. I think one of his first fights, he got knocked out via head kick at heavyweight. That's a wild highlight, by the way. So if you hate Bryan Battle, look up Bryan Battle at heavyweight, okay? And you could probably rub one out to that, all right? If you're a Bryan Battle hater. But over here, where Bryan Battle stands, okay? And, yeah, it's rough looking, okay? His career's not, okay, his career kind of is aging worse over time. The Randy Brown one, a lot of people thought were robberies. You know, I actually do think Bryan Battle did win that. Like, genuinely. Alright? I'm a little biased. I do think he did win that. Kevin Jusay has shown that his brain is mush and he can't figure out how to strike properly. Angelusa's now on a 3-fight losing streak, I want to say, after this no contest. So, I mean, Bryan Battle just took his soul. AJ Fletcher, I haven't fucking heard about this guy in like a year, so I guess he's dead. And Gabe Green moved all the way down to to lightweight. So, as Bryan Battle, former welterweight, then went to middleweight, missed weight, probably still, like, if he gets back to the UFC, middleweight's probably where he's going to be at. I mean, Gabe Green on his record kind of just means he beat a lightweight at, you know, middleweight. You know, he's also missed weight in a few of these fights, so do I agree with them cutting my GOAT Bryan Battle? You know, we will be champion one day, but today's not that day, okay? I understand it, okay? Missing weight is one thing. Missing weight up a weight class, do kind of got to cut him. Now, there should be, you know, Brian Ortega the other night, you know, he missed weight by 8 pounds, even though he took a fight at featherweight. I know some people are like, well, he was planning to go to lightweight, and he didn't end up planning to go to lightweight. Regardless, he signed the contract for a featherweight fight. He knew what he's getting into. That was his second time in a row, I think, missing weight. I think he missed weight for the Diego Lopez fight, and that's when Dan Ige had to show up short notice. I think it was somebody else, and then it was Dan Ige on 24-hour short notice. But regardless of that, you know, Bryan Battle, he was good while he was here. Yes, his last fight is not a great send-off, but, you know, he's going to DBX. Rosenstrike versus Perez. Oh, shit, that's where Rosenstrike went to, eh? Okay. You know, I don't think I'll keep updates on Bryan Battle on my channel or anything like that, but I'll definitely pop my head in and out. You know, if he goes to the PFL or something, Bryan Battle is, like, legit good, you know? But he's almost like if you had, like, Bryan Battle being at welterweight as his size is like Reiner de Ritter being at middleweight, if you get what I mean. Like, he's big, he's probably going to have the higher reach, he's probably going to be taller than most of these guys, he's You know, especially the way he stands up. You know, he's going to land those awkward shots. He's going to be able to grapple because he's got good grappling. But him at middleweight is kind of like if Reiner de Ritter went to light heavyweight, which is just like a lot of the advantages Reiner de Ritter has, having those really clean knees on very short opponents. It's not going to be prevalent when you're in there against Yuri fucking Prochazka. You know, he probably land a knee or two, but Yuri's going to make him pay every single time on that entry. You know, he won't be able to pick his shots so well. You know, but it does suck to see Bryan Battle got cut. I agree with the decision, even though I'm a Bryan Battle stan, but clean it up, brother. Like, seriously, though. Like, what the fuck, man? How do you miss weight by almost 5 pounds? Or I guess he did miss weight by 5 pounds because he showed up at 190, and he's supposed to weigh in at 185. But there's that one. So he did technically show up 5 pounds overweight for the weight class. That is just unacceptable. Up a weight class. This would be different if he had a fight. You know, maybe he fought Michel Pereira or like Abus Magomedov or something like that at middleweight and then missed weight. That's a different story. He probably would have kept his career, but I don't know what the fuck. I don't know how this happens. I don't know how you just randomly gain 20 pounds and you're not able to keep it off within I want to say like 7 to 8 months. When was August 16th, December 7th? Yeah, like, you know, what would that be? June, July, August. Yeah, 8 months. Yeah. You know, he had 8 months to prep and he just somehow gained 20 pounds. I don't understand. So, you know, hopefully he's not gonna have a generational fall off like Michel Pereira the other night. That guy used to be a world beater when he came to middleweight, and goddamn did he ever shit the bed, and is now probably cut from the sport. But yeah, you know, I'm just saying, if we're gonna cut Bryan Battle for missing weight, up a weight class, I get the context, but if we're gonna cut Bryan Battle for missing weight a few times, okay, let's start hammering it down on a lot of these guys who shouldn't be around. Okay, Brian Ortega hasn't won a good solid win. Yair doesn't fucking count. Okay, Yair's just a we're gonna say that for later on. Okay, but Yair Rodriguez is not a smart human being, nor do I consider him a top level featherweight opponent. Okay, arguably lost to Patrice Pitbull. I'll start promoting that narrative, even though it's not true. Okay, propaganda on this shit. No, I'm kidding, obviously. But regardless. Yeah, Bryan Ortega hasn't fucking won a solid win in like 5 years, other than the one win over Yair Rodriguez, and he's missed weight in almost every single fight while looking like a flabby fucking doughboy. All right, Bryan Ortega, cut him. I'm just saying, if we're cutting Bryan Battle, keep the same energy. Moving on to the fight announcements. Okay, these are kind of interesting, so I want to get into the first fight announcement. I'm gonna be going over 2, and that is Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. I get this fucking out of my fucking face. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez versus Reinier de Rieder. Okay. Now, Reinier de Rieder is an interesting fellow. Okay, I think we all see the Sean Woodson xenomorph. What was that? Alien Romulus type creature that Reinier de Rieder is when he enters that cage. Is he a little bit chinny? And by a little bit, I mean pretty chinny. Yeah, but he did get clipped by a very clean shot by Robert Whittaker. And he was able to recover, and the ref gave him time to recover. You know, you can only hope the refs keep that same energy and don't treat Reinier de Rieder like his prototype and Sean Woodson. Because Sean Woodson literally got ruled a TKO for shooting a fucking takedown, okay? One of the worst stoppages of all time. We literally need to start firing these refs. I don't care if Herb Dean's been on JRE 20 times. I don't care Mark Goddard is in every fight fucking promotion there is. You know, reffing the biggest fights. Having the nicest hair. I don't give a fuck. Cut these refs. They're shit. They're old. Bro, some of these refs have worse CTE from reffing these fights than fighters do from the fights. I swear to God. Anyways, Reinier de Rieder versus Anthony Hernandez. Basically, this is the battle of like 2 guys who keep winning that really shouldn't be fucking winning. You know? And yeah, he was a very heavy favorite in his last fight against Roman Dolidze. And even though I was on the Roman Dolidze side, Anthony Hernandez had a very impressive performance. His striking looked really good. His striking looked the best striking I think we've ever had. Roman striking is atrocious. But, you know, I wasn't expecting Roman Dolidze to wince and look away and turn his head every time he would throw a jab, okay? I was expecting Roman Dolidze to actually improve, given there's Marab. Well, I guess Marab's in his corner, so I should have expected his striking to be even worse as time went on. Anyways, but Roman Dolidze is like a good ground guy, and if Reiner de Ridder is also like a good ground guy, I really think, like, Fluffy has like this sort of persona that he wants to beat people with what they're good at, and he did submit Reiner de Ridder, right? After gassing him out, yeah, or Roman Dolidze, yeah, so he did submit him, but the thing with Fluffy is that his striking actually did look pretty improved, you know? And I'm not saying it's masterclass high level, but at middleweight, there's a pretty low bar, you know? Like, Robert Whittaker in Big 2025, the fact that no one's been able to, like, chin him other than DDP is kind of surprising, because it's almost like, bro, Robert Whittaker's been around for fucking ever, and these guys can't figure it out, you know? But I guess they're slowly figuring it out. I mean, Hamzat grappled, that's a different story. And then, you know, Ikram Alaskarov, that guy got fucking absolutely dog-walked with that Robert Whittaker fight. Thank fuck Robert Whittaker was able to have a redemption arc for a little bit with that win. But I do think Fluffy isn't going to engage with the grappling like he didn't with Roman Dolidze. Now, Roman went for a lot of heel shit. I think Reiner de Ridder is probably not going to do that, and he's going to wait for a grappling exchange. Now, this might be, like, one-to-one, a perfect example of, like, two grapplers get into the cage, you know, Aljo, Brian Ortega, and the amount of grappling done is, like, 5% of the fight, you know? Maybe it's the finishing sequence, but I think Fluffy, he's kind of got to get a different game plan that we haven't really seen. Like, we need to see, like, a masterclass striking performance on a really tall, rangy striker. Now, we saw him, like, masterclass Roman Dolidze in the striking, fair enough. You know, we saw him break Michel Pereira. That's kind of aged like fucking milk, because Michel Pereira is on a 3-fight losing streak, could be getting cut out of the sport. Brendan Allen is a dog shit win and a loss. Brendan Allen is literally a fucking moron with no chin, and made a lot of mistakes. And you could argue Brendan Allen lost that fight more than Fluffy Hernandez won that fight, because Brendan pulled a lot of positions and ended up on bottom. So this is going to be a very interesting fight. The Roman Kopylov is probably the closest thing. But, like, kickboxing, Roman Kopylov's better. Reiner de Ridder is probably a better striker than Roman Kopylov, just with those knees. Like, Reiner de Ridder, pound for pound, might have the best knees of all time. You know, the way he landed those knees on Robert Whittaker, I think, breaks Fluffy Hernandez. This is a tough matchup to predict, man. Because, like, on paper, Roman Dolidze should have been the better grappler. He takes his career more seriously. You know, this is at middleweight, which is like the lower weight class. At light heavyweight, like, I could see Roman Dolidze getting fraud checked by a lot of light heavyweights, but, like, at middleweight, like, Roman Dolidze was kind of the guy for a moment. I know he's older, but he was picking up some steam, man. And, like, the Brendan Allen one is, you know, it's a rough one. It's very interesting, because that was also a rematch. He also did beat Brendan Allen. I get it, it was a long time, doesn't really matter. Very interesting matchup, you know? This one's kind of really tough to predict, and I'm gonna wager that we get a lot of different takes from the MMA community, you know? But I think I'm gonna go with early thoughts, okay? This is gonna happen... When is this? October 18th? Ooh. Oh, shit. October 18th, eh? 2 months away. Well, I guess less than 2 months, because it's almost September as of making this video, so August 26th. So, I think early prediction, like, this is the thing. But Reiner de Ridder had a bad performance against GM3 and made GM3 actually look like he was a high-level striker. Like, that's the problem. But Reiner's been improving, man. But then Anthony's younger, and he's more in prime. This is the thing, man. This is why we love the sport here. This is the type of fight that, like, gives me that tingle, you know? Gives me that MMA tingle. I'm like, ooh, anything could happen. And if I bet on this fight, the stakes are going to be way higher, you know? Heart's going to be fucking jumping out of my chest if I bet on this fight. But I think my pick is going to be Reiner de Ridder. I believe this is 3 rounds. I don't think this is main event. I think this might be co-main. Yeah, I think it's co-main, because October 18th kind of strikes me as like a That's not pay-per-view, right? Because pay-per-view, I think, is the first week of October. And a 3-rounder, actually wager Fluffy probably finds a finish. And a 5-rounder, I feel like Reiner de Ritter takes that. I don't know. I'm gonna lean towards Reiner de Ritter. And bro, this image, that's probably gonna be on the thumbnail. This image is fucking aura. Look at that aura. God damn. Jesus, look at this guy. You see the chest hair popping. You see the gi up. God damn, brother. Yeah, I think this is gonna look a lot like Roman Dolidze's fight, but I think it's gonna be like Fluffy makes a mistake. But Fluffy's got a good chin. He showcased that. Like, Roman hits hard, man. I know, like, he didn't have a good performance, but he did land some bombs on fucking Fluffy that, like, probably put out Reiner de Ritter. This is the thing, man. Fuck. I'm going to lean Reiner de Ritter right now. I could change. I'm going to lean Reiner de Ritter. I think Reiner de Ritter's probably going to get it done via a 3-round decision. Probably a 29-28. Very clear. And I think he gets dropped in one of the rounds, and people are going to be like, ooh, this is, you know... Honestly, Reiner de Ritter could have sat out for a title shot, I'll be honest. I don't know why he's taking this fight. The only reason why I think Reiner de Ritter's taking this fight is because he's watched Anthony Hernandez and his last performances, except for Roman Dolidze, and he's like, bro, this guy's weak to the body. I do the best body work in the whole middleweight division. I gotta imagine Reiner de Ritter's got a game plan. Can Fluffy win? Yeah, sure. And if your take is Fluffy wins this, I'm not gonna fucking... you know, argue to the moon and back with you, right? Like, I think it's a valid take. I'm going to lean towards Reiner de Ritter, though. I just think his body work is too good. We've seen Fluffy weak to the body, and we've seen him sort of be a punching bag. Like, he doesn't have great head movement, you know? And I feel like to beat Reiner, I mean, the guy hasn't lost in the UFC, too. He's got that undefeated UFC fucking plot armor right now. You know, I think Hernandez, right? Hernandez hasn't lost in the UFC. Oh, he did. He did. Damn, that was a while ago, huh? I guess that wasn't that long ago. 5 years? God, I'm getting old. Anyways. Yeah, this is interesting, man. I think Reiner de Ritter is going to get it done. I think he's going to have a y'all must have... Maybe not a y'all must have forgot because he's on a win streak, but... Yeah, I think Reiner de Ritter is going to get it done. You know, I think he's got the best body work, and we've seen Anthony Hernandez struggle with body work. You know, I think Anthony Hernandez genuinely has maybe probably the best chin at 185. I think Reiner de Ritter has got the best body work. I think Anthony, like the way you finish him is to the body, you know. So I can see a few of those knees sneaking in, and it's wraps. You know, I think Fluffy probably took this because he's got momentum right now. I think the hype train is going to get derailed. So I'm going to lean Reiner de Ritter. Moving on, we have something a little personal for me. Kevin Holland versus Mike Malott. Hey, Canada represent. We stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada. Okay. I got PTSD from when I was school. Sorry. You know, that fucking anthem is just stuck in my goddamn fucking brain. Anyways. Mike Malott versus Kevin Holland. Listen. I know Kevin Holland is coming off a terrible, terrible performance against D-Rod. And a y'all must have forgot, still got it type performance with D-Rod, okay? D-Rod's been finished by Ian Gary. That is a bad look. Getting KO'd by Ian Gary. And then for this guy to then beat Kevin Holland is equally as bad as a look. Okay, and some people thought this fight was close against Daniel Rodriguez. I think Daniel Rodriguez could have won every round. I thought it was pretty clear Daniel Rodriguez. I picked Kevin Holland. I thought Daniel Rodriguez clearly won. I don't know the odds for this fight. I don't think they're out yet. This is also happening on October 18th, so hence why I'm doing the breakdown here. But yeah, this is I think I'm 1 in like 10 with Kevin Holland predictions. I can't fucking... Whatever I'm picking this fight, I'm telling you right now, if you want to make money, I'm not your financial advisor, but if you want to make money, bro, bet the other side, because I don't know why I'm cursed. I can't get any of his fights right, you know? Ever since I watched the Steven Wonderboy fight, you know, I thought he was going to win that one, but I wasn't making predictions then. Damn, that was 2022, yeah. Ponzinibbio, I don't remember. I think I was just like watching fights at a time. I don't think I was picking people. Michael Chiesa. I think I thought Michael Chiesa. No, I probably picked Kevin Holland in that one. I probably did pick Kevin Holland. JDM, I don't think I picked. Michael Venom Page, I did pick to beat Kevin Holland. McCall Olin Jaychuk, I picked to beat Kevin Holland. I was wrong. So I lost there. Lost on the Reiner de Ritter. Listen, he had a bad performance against GM3. Okay, Reiner de Ritter did. That's the only reason why I picked Kevin Holland. Thought Gunnar Nelson was going to beat him because Kevin Holland sucks. I thought Vicente Luque was going to beat him because I thought Kevin Holland sucks. I thought he was going to beat Daniel Rodriguez. Turns out Daniel Rodriguez is good and Kevin Holland sucks. Fuck, man. Like, this gets my blood boiling for different reasons than Anthony Hernandez versus Reiner de Ritter. This one gets my blood boiling because fuck Mike Malott. This guy's a pussy. I hate that he represents Canada. Get him out of this country. Hey, there's rumors that he trained in America, born somewhere in America. Okay, I'm not going to do research so I can keep on promoting the narrative that he's American. You guys can have him. You guys can have Mike Malott. We'll give him to you. All right. I don't want this pussy ass bitch representing my country on the top stage. I genuinely rather have Charles Jourdain get finished at French Canadian than Mike Malott represent my country, even in a win. I don't care. Okay. Coming off the win against Charles Radke, impressive KO, sick KO. Charles Radke, they found out in the back he had cinder blocks attached to his fucking feet, so he couldn't move. That's the only reason why Mike Malott got the KO, and I'll keep coping about it, okay? If Trevin Giles used 2 brain cells, he would have been able to land 1 more jab every round. And if he did land a jab every round, I mean this genuinely, 1 extra jab every round, he wins that fight 30-27. That's how close that was. I genuinely thought Trevin Giles won that. Or, like, it was so close that it's like, bro, I don't know. I mean, like, Trevin Giles, he did look dumb, but, like, he could have just, done an extra thing. Losing on Neil Magny is why I just fuck this dude, bro. Embarrassing. I like Neil Magny. I don't even mind Neil Magny. I picked Neil Magny his last fight. He was a pretty big underdog. I won money on that. A lot of people were against me on that pick. I picked Neil Magny. I'm cool with Neil Magny. I like Neil Magny. But, goddamn, is that just a pathetic performance for my country? Fucking Mike Malott losing to Neil Magny in Big 2024. Like, what are we doing, bro? Anyways. This guy's getting older. Kevin Holland is also... He's 32. Okay. Yeah, he's 32. When's Mike Malott? Okay. Their birthdays are pretty close. 2 years difference. This is a tough one. But this is the thing with Mike Malott. Now that he's had a good performance, he's going to shit the bed. And this is like, is this not the perfect, like, Kevin Holland, y'all must have forgot performance? Kevin Holland gets schooled for 3 rounds, and then comes back and gets a win, a very dominant win, probably a finish, over a guy who's coming off, like, a crazy comeback, or not comeback win, but, he's on a fight win streak. He just got a KO. Is that his first KO? Oh, he KO'd Mickey Gall. Okay, so that's his first KO. Alright, that's what we're counting that as. But yeah, fuck Mike Malott. I'm going to pick Mike Malott now. Oh my god. I'm going to pick Mike Malott because he's at least, like... He's consistently average everywhere, And maybe he's found power in his hands, like Jared Gordon at an old age, Maybe he's, like, going to be one of those fighters where as he gets older, he gets more dangerous somehow. This is a short turnaround, isn't it? 3/18, July. Okay, that's not as short as I thought. August, September, October. 3 months after getting whooped, man. Huh. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Mike Malott, 29-28. And I think this will be a 29-28 either way. I don't think Mike Malott would get finished. Because realistically, when you're looking at these fighters, and I take my emotions out of it, because I fucking hate both of these guys, for different reasons. Mike Malott is consistently Mike Malott, He's kind of really good, but he gasses out in the later rounds. So I reckon Mike Malott's going to pick up round 1 and 2. maybe drop Kevin Holland, and Kevin Holland survives on the ground. Mike Malott challenges him on the ground. Can't really do much, but he's on position, like he's on top. You know, Kevin Holland's trying to threaten like a fucking arm triangle or something, but it's nowhere near in. But he's trying something, and that's holding Mike Malott down. So Mike Malott can't really advance position. That's what I kind of think is gonna happen. And then round 2. Probably going to be a stand-up. They're going to be, like, tappy punches. Mike Malott's going to land some big shots. Kevin Holland's going to eat it like normal. Kevin Holland's just not going to land enough. And then in round 3, I think Kevin Holland is going to start, like, whooping Mike Malott after, like, a lot of glove touches. And Mike Malott starts embracing his heritage and becomes soy incarnate, you know. You'll just see the soy-like aura exuding from Mike Malott in round 3. And then you're going to see him do that, and then in round 3, Kevin Holland's going to start picking up the pace, start whooping Mike Malott, and we might see a 10-8 Kevin Holland side, but I think Kevin Holland's going to get after it in round 3 and probably whoop Mike Malott for a 29-28 Mike Malott, based off the first 2 rounds. Like, this is probably going to feel like, if anyone watched that China card, it's going to feel like a Long Zhao versus Su Young Yu, I want to say. It's gonna look a lot like that, where the 3rd round is gonna look so fucking dominant, but the round 1 and 2 are gonna be pretty close, and it's gonna be like, oh, round 1 and 2 were the other guy. 3rd round was the last guy who had a very dominant round, but he just lost the other 2 rounds. Barely, but he did. So, yeah, I'm gonna pick Mike Malott, but that might change, okay, depending how we're looking at fight week, okay? If Mike Malott's like, yeah, I'm gonna go in there and fucking... I'm gonna go in there and knock this guy out, you know? If we see him do a Happy Dad fucking sponsorship with the Nelk Boys, I'll know it's cooked, you know? But yeah, that's my predictions. Wanted to cover these 2 fights just because, I got passion for the sport, and these 2 piss me the fuck off more than any other fighter right now. Anthony Hernandez, Reiner de Ridder is probably one of the most interesting matchups this whole year. Bryan Battle being cut. Our king will return, okay? But that's been my takes on everything. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, I want to thank you for watching, and as always, stay tuned for my prediction videos, okay? Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, okay? Alright, just saying. But yeah, as always, hope you have a good day.